Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Who's in the chat? Tommy Trump, good evening. Serena, good evening. Paul's not going to be with us today, so we will talk a little bit about Christianity, but we're going to hold on till next week. If we talk about Christianity, then Paul certainly has got.
You're frozen up, John.
Looks like John has frozen. You there, John? I'm not sure if this is recording or not. Welcome to the show, everyone. Looks like John has frozen. Paul Rimmer couldn't make it tonight. And so it'd be myself, Stuart Boniface, and John Lawrence when he comes back. He's going to probably come back in a sec. So, yeah, we was going to do it about Christianity tonight, but Paul Rimmer couldn't make it. So we're going to do a brief thing about Christianity and then go on to some other subjects. Digital ID, a few other things we can speak about. So I don't know where John's gone. He's just disappeared. But what have you got to say about digital ID, Stuart?
Well, it's an absolute frigging nightmare, isn't it, really? First they say, oh, it's to stop the boats. Nobody believed that. And there was a clip I saw today in Parliament of them openly admitting you're going to need it to access your bank account, to send your child to school, to go to the doctors, to get on a bus, to go to the cinema even. So one of the big cinemas of, I think it might be Odeon. They've now got it so that you can make it life easy and worry free. You can use your digital ID as you enter to make sure that you're of an age to watch that film. So there is that. There's also the geofencing that's been going on, especially in America, but it's starting to happen here. When you go to church, for instance, your devices, your phones, even if they're turned off, could be geofenced. So you can be labelled. If you go to a church, they can send you pro this or that information, propaganda, etc. That's part of the digital ID that's all going to be linked up, because it's not going to be when you're just at church and you might receive some influential material that might push you one way or the other religiously. It will be when you're down the pub, if there are any pubs left, because you can be down the pub, and the pub is a place where you normally talk to your mates and you moan, and then you come up with solutions from when you moan.
Yeah.
So with the geofencing, I was under the impression it was just going to be for cars for the 15-minute cities, but no, it's going to be personal. You, as an individual, are going to be geofenced. So let's say it's all digital ID, all on your phone. The only way you can access your money, you can purchase something. So let's say, you make an upsetting post that might challenge the narrative. Then you find that you're restricted on the amount of money you can spend that week. And you get a little warning telling you, you've violated this, some hate speech law. They won't tell you what, as they half the time they don't now, when they've arrested over 12,000 people last year, which is about, 200 times the amount that Russia did last year. They did under 400 last year. We did 12,000. So I'm not going to do the maths on that. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Country's going to pot in it, Pat.
Yeah, it's not looking good. And this stream was supposed to be about Christianity, and the Church of England have just totally lost the plot now. You know, they've appointed a woman as the leader, which contradicts the Bible.
She's also a lesbian, Pat, if you didn't know. So we now have a lesbian archbishop.
Right,
We've got no church, church at all in this country.
They allowed all the graffiti to be sprayed on the walls in Canterbury Cathedral.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's completely gone. And what is going to happen? I mean, is there going to be an alternative church set up? You know, what's going on? I mean, I haven't heard anything, but surely the Church of England is over now. It's just completely finished.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you still have some other Protestant faiths, but they're just as easily, or should I say, as much corrupted in this country. I know that across the world the Catholic faith is picking up, but then, you know, what was it, a couple of days ago, you had the lovely Roman Catholic Pope, you know, not out there blessing children. No, he was blessing a block of ice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing, okay, you be a bit liberal, you accept homosexuals who are all God's children. And then, oh, well, you know, what was the last Pope? It was very accepting of not just prostitutes, but transsexual prostitutes, you know, openly having them round. And okay, people can say, well, that's accepting, lovely, jubbly.
Yeah. Is John back there? John, you back?
It's
sorry about that. My internet's going wild.
All right, well, I'll let you get
so
on.
So I'm on my phone now, so it's the best I can do that for time being. Just carry on.
Yeah, I really don't see, unless something really happens and the church unifies and gets rid of the corruption. That's what it is. It's corrupted. It's corrupted by evil. In my humble opinion, it's lost in this country unless something drastic happens and people wake up. And people need to wake up to the fact, whether you believe in God or not, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, whatever, you came to the Western world, you live in the Western world because Christianity, Christian-run countries give the most balanced life that they have for years. They're the most moral, the most open, I believe. Yes, Western society can hold its hands up to a lot of atrocities, but the people that live here have a pretty good life. And that's why we're so attractive, apart from the obvious fact that we throw money at people like it's no tomorrow. I mean, you only have to look at what's being wasted in our country, or not in our country, being wasted outside our country. Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, you know, we're funding green projects in some countries that don't even want green stuff, and another country we're promoting trans agendas. We need to rein in our money. We're over. I mean, being told it's 2.7 million in debt now. Sorry, 2.7 trillion, not billion. 2.7 trillion. Some people say it's 2.9. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of stuff that's being hidden from us because we don't have access to the accounts of the country, do we?
Well, it's interesting you say that, Stuart, because they've sent literally billions to Ukraine. The British military was supporting Israel's military committing war crimes in Gaza with our tax money. And now, you know, you just said we're 2.7 trillion in debt. Starmer said, oh, they're going to send a big aid package to Gaza. So it's like they can just find money whenever they like, you know, willy-nilly. But you know, there was a story in the paper the other day. I tweeted about it, and a veteran literally took his own life because he couldn't get housing. And
Pat, I've seen 3 in the past 2 weeks. Heart rendering, it is absolutely heart rendering.
yeah,
When you know that we as a country should be looking after the people that are here and our veterans, whatever you think of our armed forces, whether they go out and do right or wrong, they fight on our behalf and they need our respect and they need looking after. And it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting that most Western countries don't. They're quite willy-nilly to chuck people into Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Lebanon, all of these places, mainly white Christians, but also black and brown Christians and of other faiths as well, that are thrown into the mill to die for wars that nobody, the populations don't want.
yeah.
But the downplay is that our society is falling.
Yeah,
Think of all
definitely is.
the money that goes abroad that we could spend here on decent education, decent roads, decent schools, decent hospitals where the doctors and nurses are actually taught to care for you, not to just line you up, not just to line you up for the euthanasia program. I mean, you look at what's happening in Canada, Pat. It's come out recently that over there in the last 10 years, they've used the MAID, medical assistance in dying. It started off as, just the terminally ill. Now it's down to the depressed and all of that. And it's come out recently that they're actually selling their organs.
Yeah.
So these people are dying. Oh, sorry, you're a bit skinned. Yeah, you're a bit depressed. We can't help you financially, can't house you properly, but we'll help you to die. Oh, and just before you die, while you're actually still alive, don't forget,
sign these papers.
For that organ to be transplantable, it has to be taken when the body is alive. I've put out on X and various places the NHS instructions for it, which give it. So they have instructions how to take somebody's organs when they're alive.
I've noticed they've shown some forms recently that asked me to sign. Would you be happy for your organs to be used by someone if you passed away? And I said no.
Right. If you want, you've got a driving license, haven't you, Pat?
Yeah.
And you've got the plastic card?
Yeah.
And in the middle, you've got all the pictures of what you can drive and all the numbers.
Yeah.
Well, have a look in the little left-hand corner down the bottom, section 12, number 115. Open it up, have a look.
What, the paper bit you mean?
No, your plastic card.
Yeah.
In the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
Has it got a number 12?
Yeah.
With a 115?
No. Just number 12 with a dot.
Oh, right, okay. You're all right then. You only have to opt out the NHS organ donation.
Right.
If on the bottom of your driving license, in the bottom hand corner where it's got a 12, a few years ago, without telling anyone, they put on a 115. At the same time, they said, right, everybody signed up to the organ donation register, but you can opt out. Yes, you can opt out of the NHS, but it's only come out recently because someone highlighted it last year and they had to, by Freedom of Information request. Let's say, oh, I don't want to give my organs. I've signed off the NHS. Great. But I'm driving along. I'm in a car accident and they pull out my driver's license and it's got a number 12 with a dash and then a 115. That automatically puts you on the donor register, even though you may have signed off from the NHS.
Yeah.
So when you sign off from the NHS, they send you a confirmation letter, and now they advise you to get in touch with the DVLA. And with the DVLA, you have to send your license back for it to be redone. I'm in the process of sending mine off. The only other way you can do it is to actually tattoo your body saying that you do not donate organs.
Yeah.
And obviously, you let your family know. But even then, you know, if there's some computer data system that's got you on that you donate organs, they'll have them.
Yeah.
They know what they need. They know when they need it. And Canada got caught doing it for an American heart transplant. They didn't disclose the amount of money the American paid to come over the border and get it done. But the big hoo-ha over there is that he jumped the queue of all the Canadian people on the transplant list. So that in Canada, they killed someone who was depressed or disabled or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they took that heart out, still pumping, to be able to transplant it straight into a bloke that, funny enough, must have got the call, look, an hour before. Oh no, he's in America. The day before, 2 days. You know, is it that they're lining these people up in hospitals and then they're matching them up with paying donors? It's evil.
Yeah. Our society is very sinister now, and you know it's no coincidence that this is all happening because of the removal of Christianity. You know, we've got the trans education going into schools. We've got this assisted dying. Got abortion coming right up to the day before the birth. You know, and it's been an attack by the bankers, the cultural Marxists, which all originates in the Frankfurt School. And, you know, we're trillions in debt to these bankers who have basically destroyed our society. I don't know if you remember, some people may remember this in the chat when you couldn't go to shops on a Sunday, you know, and they managed to change that so that everyone's like chasing the pound note, the greed, and all stuff like that. Our society's just been totally transformed, and you know, it's not a coincidence. It's been deliberately done by certain people, and these people, they're not Christians, obviously. They run the media, they run the banking system, they run Hollywood. They created communism, you know, and
they own most of the social media now that because obviously you had Facebook anyway, but you know, they said, oh, TikTok's a real big problem because of the Chinese influence. Yeah. Right, let's get China out of it. Let's sell it to Larry Ellison, who's another Jewish person, biggest donor to the IDF in the world.
Yeah.
And he's now running TikTok, the most popular social media in the app in the world, that was the one that first got out what was really going on in Gaza. So you can see why that's been shut down. His son has now taken over. He had Skydance anyway, a big publication program, conglomerate. He's taken over Disney, Paramount, CBS. So there's more news and stuff being taken over there. And like you say, they own all the media.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of people don't realise this Israel thing is really affected the way everything in our country, really, because the people who basically purchased this fake Israel, which is known as the modern state of Israel, they got their money from enslaving us financially into eternal debt in the West. So they've got all their money, like all the nations in the West, with trillions in debt to these people, the Rothschilds, and you know they went and bought this land called Israel, and it's not good at all. And like I said earlier, you know, our tax money's been funding this conflict for the last 2 years. And they're not even asking us if it's, oh, do you mind if we do this with your money? They're not even saying like the secret spy plane missions from day one when the Gaza thing kicked off. Also, all the RAF jets which were shooting down the Iranian missiles, which were when it kicked off with Iran and Israel. So, you know, we're a Christian nationalist party and we want to be independent. We don't want to be part of NATO. We don't want to be involved with these conflicts. We don't want to be involved with the conflicts in Ukraine. And that seems to be escalating now because they're talking about possibly American soldiers on the ground that operating Tomahawk cruise missiles, which Putin has said this is going to be a major escalation. And lots of people are thinking it's going to really kick off. But yeah, I mean, but you're talking about the social media. I mean, you can't on X. You know, everyone thinks it's a lot better than what it was for free speech, but you cannot even quote certain verses in the Bible, like Revelation 3:9 about the synagogue of Satan. You can't say that. It's marked down as hate speech or something when you say that. You got to disguise it.
It's a blood libel, an anti-Semitic trope. It's being banned. There is something called the International Holocaust Regulation Authority or something like IHRA.
Yeah. Well, we don't acknowledge all these politically correct terms, and but I know what you're saying.
It doesn't matter. We abide by it, so we can get done for anti-Semitism. We can get done for Islamophobia. We can get done for racist remarks against Hindus, Buddhists, whatever. But we cannot be somebody who would like to be a Christian nationalist or a white Christian nationalist. That is seen as white supremacy.
Can I just weigh in?
Hello, John.
Yeah. I don't know how long it lasts, but most people can. But like when it's anti-Semitic, it's like white people who suffer the worst consequences on that kind of thing. But like Pat says, we don't do them kind of words because we know they're there to shut down debate and criticism of other people, and we know these words have been made up plenty of years for us. But like they don't say things to other minorities, but if it was a white person saying anything like that, then you're in trouble. Just want to get that in. But carry on, Stuart.
Well, Pat was saying about X. I mean, I was never on the old Twitter. I farted around on Facebook, which was banned all the time for saying bloody anything. I put up a picture of a CO2 machine that they use in greenhouses and just put, why do they pump CO2 into greenhouses? Because it makes it greener and makes things grow better. And of course, that was banned. Every time I put that up for a year and a half, I'd get a week ban or a month ban, and then sometimes they rescind it, sometimes they wouldn't. Too much mucking about. Got on X, yes, it's a lot more free speech, but the amount of propaganda, and especially since Netanyahu last week had his little buddy with all the social influencers, the so-called right-wing ones, in that little panel where, you know, he said pretty much all the other social media is all sewn up, and there's now only the X problem, and that won't be a problem because Elon's our friend.
Yeah.
Well, guess who's been put in charge of I think it's security and censorship. Two different people, both ex-IDF soldiers. TikTok, the lady in charge of or the whole thing there, ex-IDF soldier. I believe Instagram now has a Jewish censor. We have media controlled by them. Mainstream media, and it's not as if it's all one-sided. We get a bit of this and a bit of that, and it's there to divide us. So, as you said, those words, the made-up words to divide us, the anti-Semitism, the Islamophobia, blah, 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 it's all there to divide us. Colour has been used to divide us. White supremacy, black supremacy, Jewish supremacy, I don't care where it comes from, it's all there to divide us. And until we start coming together and putting our differences aside to get this country running right, I don't believe we really stand a chance, Pat. We can do what we can do as a small party and influence what we can influence. But the big boys, they don't care about anyone. They don't care about the little ones, the little people. We're groats, scrots, whatever you want to call us, serfs. We're not, the MPs, you know, most of them follow a script. Most of them ain't half ain't there. Or more than half ain't there for any of the half serious debates.
How long do you think Keir Starmer's going to last? I mean, he was very, very unpopular, and then he announced he was going to bring digital ID in. So, you know what?
He's doing the job that he's been employed to do by the global entities, if you like, the global communist stakeholder corporation, WEF. I mean, I only found out recently that the UN a couple of years ago wrote into their charter that the WEF is now on an equal level with them, which means they're in their influence in all the world's
the WEF and the UN are joined at the hip now, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's not just in the things that you see that you can pattern up, it's policy.
Yeah.
And in the UN Charter, the original founding charter, anybody who is acting on UN business, supposedly, has diplomatic immunity. But not only diplomatic immunity, it goes further than that. They are immune from any civil or criminal action from any country in the world. And that's their privilege. So if you want to look at supremacists, look at the top of the UN. Have a little search out who runs the UN, who gave speeches in the UN recently.
Yeah, well, it's funny. The UN's headquarters was made in New York just after the Second World War, and the whole thing, the 1951 UN Refugee Convention, came out of the UN, and it's basically a communist assault on the planet because the UN Refugee Convention made the world have no borders. Basically, that meant that anybody can just turn up at your shore with no documents, and if they can prove that they're fleeing a war zone, the host nation has to give them the equal and full rights, same as the native citizens. Also, Rupert Lowe has released his deportation plan recently, and I've got to be honest, I was quite disappointed with it because, in he spends a hell of a lot of time talking about asylum seekers, refugees, and all this, and I'm just like, what the hell are you going on about? Why don't you just say we're not going to accept any more refugees? Our country's an emergency, and he put it in his plan that we would accept refugees from neighbouring countries like Iceland, Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, France, right? So he's thinking, if there was a war there, we'd accept refugees. Well, let me tell you this. What happens if a very nationalistic right-wing government takes power in France or Belgium or Holland, and they decide to kick all the recent immigrants out of their country? Under Rupert Lowe's plan, they're going to be eligible to claim asylum here, and we don't want that. So I think he's made a bit of a mistake there. He's a little bit politically correct, and I don't see why they can't. Anyone, all these parties, Advance UK, Reform, they can't seem to just say, look, we need to end accepting refugees, because before World War II, it was a decision made on the spur of the moment. You couldn't just turn up at a country and say, I'm fleeing a war, you got to let me in. You're not going to be let in. That's the whole point of a proper border. So I was disappointed with Rupert Lowe's deportation plan. He went way too much into, like, they're trying to basically be politically correct and say, we will accept them, like if they're from neighbouring countries. But like I said, Europe is not the Europe it was 60, 70 years ago. And there is a big possibility that one country may start kicking people out of their country. And, at the end of the day, we shouldn't be taking in any more refugees. We're full up. We've helped enough refugees, more than enough. We've helped millions of refugees. Why do we have to keep the door open for more? I don't understand it.
Our government gives to charities, right? Not only that, let's say you made a donation to an immigration charity of £100, that's your choice. That £100 goes to that charity tax-free, so they get that £100. But the HMRC will also take your tax money, everybody's tax money, and then they will do 25%. So that charity gets £125 of your money. It gets tax money from the people. It then goes to that NGO or charity through maybe one or two hands, and it ends up financing the immigration into our country. It finances all the people, the other side, the charity workers that need to live there and work there, to tell the immigrants what to do when they get on a boat, how to ditch their passports, how to make sure they ditch their phones before they land, etc., etc. What to say when they arrive. We pay for that. We pay to pick them up halfway. By arrangement.
Can I weigh in?
Yep. I'll shut up.
Yeah. So let me just weigh in. And we think these people are coming. When Pat says our doors are open to everyone, they are. I visited Wakefield over 2 years ago, and we talked to two South American people. South America guys. So there's nothing in the news about South America or anything. They come over on the flight with the passports and then claimed asylum and they have to be processed. Even though they had passports, we couldn't even send them back. And that is from South America. If anybody can tell me if there's any war there or why we should be, our doors are open to the world, not just to the Middle East or Africa. It's open to the world, guys. And this South American is just a little bit of the kind of people coming in we don't know nothing. I just want to get that in. And we did get this on film, and they did speak, and people were saying that it was whatever South American country. So that's our proof. And We've seen it, and you know, we're being told that majority come from. They do. The majority do, but they're coming from the rest of the world because our borders are open to the world, like Pat said. I just can't explain to people how easy it is to get here from any country in the world, whether they're in war or not. Just want to get that in, but carry on,
Yeah,
lads.
let me just say a couple of things from the chat, just to say hello to the chat. Gerald Fisher, one of our long-term members there. Tommy Trump, hello Tommy, also a member. Big Vinny there, hello Serena, Jackie. Grant Shimon watching, one of our staunch members in central London. Hello Bexy, and hello John Skidmore. We'll often see you in the chat there. Good to see you there. So Ravinder said a good point here, right? So there's a petition going around about the digital ID, and you know, a couple of million or so has signed this petition, and apparently Starmer has said it doesn't matter how many people sign this petition, he's going to go ahead of it anyway. And this is why I don't sign petitions. I you know, I've been in this game for quite a long time now, and the amount of petitions what are sent to me over the years, it's just a waste of time. It's nothing. It's not going to change nothing. The only way we can change things is by getting elected, and that's what I'm trying to do in my local area. And we try and encourage other people to do that. That's the best way to change things, because the elected politicians are the ones who put things in law and stuff. A petition is not going to change it. And you know that Ravinder Sond has highlighted the fact that Keir Starmer has already said he doesn't care how many signatures are on this petition. So also Bexy there saying we should leave the IMF. That is in our policy. We have a policy of leaving all globalist institutions, including the IMF, the UN, NATO, WEF, WHO, and whatever else there is. But yeah, the IMF that's the bankers basically, and they've got all the they got the whole world in debt to them, all through usury, and yeah. So yes. Yeah, so
Do you know who really controls all that?
Go on, Stuart.
Because they're above the IMF, sitting nicely in Switzerland, along with many of the other global entities, is the Bank of International Settlements. So the Bank of International Settlements is the one that puts pressure on economies when they've been lent money and they're getting more and more in debt. It's the Bank of International Settlements that says, look, you do this to your economy, you do that to your government, and we'll lower your interest. We'll reduce the term, or we'll increase it. And they're the ones at the top that control all the banks, every single bank down below them. Apart from, there are several banks in the world that are not Rothschilds. And guess where they are? China, Iran, and Venezuela. And Russia, of course. Yeah. But Venezuela as well, which is very strange at the moment with a connection there.
Yes, America on the verge. They're on the verge of invading Venezuela, and it's because of that reason what you just said.
It's what's coming,
and that's why they're trying to take out Russia, and China's the mortal enemy all the time. And incidentally, all those countries surrounding Israel, Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, all of those countries refused to have this global central bank in their countries, because once that bank is in your country, they will slowly take over your country. And that's why Putin doesn't want to have Western-style democracy, because as soon as he does that, whatever party they can get hold of, they will infiltrate that party and take over the country. This is what they do. And you know, and like you said, Iran is one of the last ones as well. That's why they're desperate to get rid of that regime so they can get their bank into that country. Over to you, Stuart.
Well, the Syria's been taken over. That's ex ISIS, ex Al Qaeda, ex Al Nusra or HTE, whatever they were. That guy, they set him up, Jelani, which is not his proper name, of course. So on the global scale, things are not looking good. On a national scale, things are not looking good. So we do need people to stand up, be counted, join a local party, get things done at a local level, make things change. And got to do a little bit of begging while we're on here, and John's not on here doing it, so I've got to do it for him. If you could make a little donation, I believe a PayPal link's been put up. We do have a website. Come along, have a look at our common sense policies, make some suggestions, make a donations, because we do like to get our leaflets out ahead of the locals, especially. And we are growing. We're a growing little party, but we are growing. And the reason why is we are Christian based. You don't have to be Christian to join, but Christian moral values is always a good start. Common sense and hate Starmer. And
Yeah,
I've got to say, well done to all the darts people. I don't know if you saw the darts earlier in the week, Pat.
I don't watch the darts, but my friend Grant does. He loves the darts, and they were singing that song, that rude song about Keir Starmer.
Yeah, they were singing that rather loudly, and Sky poo-pooed it and then put kettled noise, what was it? Canned noise over the top, pre-recorded stuff to cover up. So Sky Sports not happy with them that they played recorded crowd noise to cover it up, and it was in the papers and everything, and across X and whatnot. So it is known that it doesn't matter what they do in the media. The media has fallen on its face. I mean, I don't know how many people last year ditched their license, but it was a lot of people, because we're sick of it. We don't want to turn on that shit and listen to it. And excuse my language, but I have to be honest, it is shit. What we're fed through the media is shit. It is.
Yeah. Going back to the party and that, and what we do as a party. Anybody who's listening or watching, we've got candidates running in Grimsby, in Oldham, in London. We should have 9 candidates in London next May, and we've started the leafleting campaign in London. We've got 15,000 leaflets, which they say on the front of the leaflet, it says National Housing Party, no more refugees, in big letters. So they're quite hard-hitting leaflets. They're going down a treat, because I spoke to a few people who've received them. And, so we've got quite a lot of awards to leaflet in London. So if anybody can come out and help leaflet or canvass with us. I was out canvassing tonight with our candidate, Mark. He's going to be standing with me in my ward in Holborn and Covent Garden. So we usually go on a weekend, Saturday or Sunday. If anybody can come and help leaflet in North London, that would be great. Let us know. You can contact us at admin@nationalhousingparty.uk. Or if you would just like to donate, that would be very helpful. Or join the party. You can join the party for £22 a year online if you go to our website, nationalhousingparty.uk. Or if you would just like to, join and stay in the background, that's fine as well. That's a great motivation for all the members, because we do need some growth, which, we have been growing slowly throughout the last 3 years. And yeah, things are going really well. John's going to be standing in Oldham in May. Got Angela Kingston in Grimsby. Should have 3 candidates in Holborn and Covent Garden ward.
Bedford.
Bedford's in 2027. Got one in King's Cross, one in Somerstown. This is part of Camden. Got one in Regent's Park Estate. Got a few members around there, and got one in Islington, which is good. That's Emily Thornberry's constituency. Where I'm standing, Keir Starmer is actually our MP. So if we get a good result in my ward, it's going to be a pretty big announcement because, you know, and I've always said that I when my election takes place, I want Sadiq Khan as mayor and I want Keir Starmer as PM. The reason I want that is because they're going to do so much damage to Labour. Labour will get even less votes. And obviously, where I live, where I stand, Labour have won the election there for the last 70 years, every single time. No one's ever challenged them. But this time, it's going to be different. You know, it's going to be very, very different. A number of options could open up because we're going to have Reform standing. I don't know how many candidates they're going to stand. If they stand 3 candidates, it's going to be a problem for me. But if they only stand 1 candidate, it's going to be potentially good. I could still get elected. But the other big question is Jeremy Corbyn's. What's the other woman's name who's done it with him? Jeremy Corbyn starting a party, and I don't know if he's going to get it up and running before next May or not. If he does, he's going to take a massive chunk of votes away from Labour.
And I'll just weigh in. And Pat sent me a link earlier on. There's a Workers' Party candidate going to be standing in Oldham, and that is more votes off Labour. That is more votes off Labour, and that is more opening the door for other people to get in. I have to keep saying this, and you only have to look at my statistics, look at Oldham elections, look at Hollingwood 4 years ago, and look at it now. The change in all these parties coming up is affecting the election cycle, whereas we can get councillors elected. Any group will get councillors elected, so that's good. Go on.
Yeah, so you know, people don't realise that Labour are just completely finished. I mean, Keir Starmer, it was finished already, and then Keir Starmer announced he was going to force this digital ID through. That's going to be going on my last leaflet just before May next year. That we, on the national level, we oppose digital ID. So yeah, I wanted Keir Starmer as Prime Minister and Sadiq Khan as Mayor, which is looking like it could still be like that for next May. And they're going to be so down in the polls, it's going to be unbelievable. So, you know, people think, oh, Reform, that's great. Reform's going to win all these elections, and you know, like they need them to beat Labour. They don't need them to beat Labour. Labour were finished already anyway, and the Tories. They're both completely finished. So it's all going to be very, very interesting. And also, you know, there's been a lot of news the last week or so that 3 of the councils Reform have been running. They promised they was going to cut taxes, and they've increased the taxes. So they've gone back on their manifesto already in a few councils that they're running. So yeah, I mean, I just see them as the establishment, and you know, obviously, I want to see Labour defeated, but I think they were defeated anyway. You know, where I stand in Camden, they can't find enough candidates, and this is like groundbreaking news, because you need 55 candidates to put a full slate down in Camden. There's 55 seats on their little assembly in Camden Council, and they can only find 48. The last I saw, Labour Party can only find 48 councillors. So I think there's a lot of councillors, they don't want to stand anymore because they don't want to go door knocking. They don't want to go out and do that difficult job of knocking on the door, because the backlash they're getting will be quite ferocious, I should imagine, especially in council estates where there's so much overcrowding and there's just thousands of these people flooding in at Dover, and Labour don't seem to be doing anything about it. And we know they're not going to do anything about it. So it's all looking good, I think. In the next few years, it's going to be big changes. And I predict that Reform will win the general election. Reform will win the general election. And people will quickly realise that they are the same as the Lib Lab Con, and it's not going to be much different because they're tied up to all the globalist bankers and everything, and they're not going to allow them to limit immigration because they need the cheap labour to keep the fake economy going, the fake mortgage system going. They're not going to ban foreign ownership of land and property in the UK, which we would, and any sensible nationalist would do that. Why would you give foreigners the right to own property in this country and not even visit our country? It's just insane. And there's around 300,000 properties in this country which are owned by foreign billionaires, which is pushing the price up and up and up out of reach of ordinary UK citizens.
You've also got to take into account foreign investment in our infrastructure. So, for instance, EDF Energy is French owned. And yes, we share energy back and forth between us and France at peak times. But when, I think it was last year, maybe even earlier, when our prices, electricity prices, were going up 54%, the French government said to their people, oh, prices are a bit high, we're going to have to go up 8%. They rioted. They went on strike. So the government relinquished and said, all right, but it has to go up, but it goes up 4%. So while ours goes up 54%, theirs only goes up 4%. And who owns EDF Energy? France. The French government own the majority of it. We pay over the odds for our electricity, which goes to pay the French government. We need to be more self-sufficient and run our country better. Stop bleeding money, run our country better, and get up there and change things at a local level if we can. Get our voices out to be heard. One thing, I know times are moving on. I wanted to just mention that I saw a few clips today of the European Court of Human Rights saying that possibly when it was in our Supreme Courts that said men are men and women are women, apparently the European Court of Human Rights are going to take that to court themselves to challenge it because it's discriminatory against trans people. So they want to keep men in women's sports. They want to keep men in girls' toilets, in girls' changing rooms.
Yeah, well, this goes back to what Reform stance is. They're very flip-floppy about everything. And you know, Nigel Farage and his new crime advisor blatantly said that they will still send men to women's prisons if the man is a convincing transsexual. And it's like, if you're born a man, you go to a man's prison. If you're born a woman, you go to. It's not complicated, Nigel. And then they start complaining. Oh no, there's men competing in women's sports events. Well, hold on a minute. You're saying that they can change their ID on their passports and that men should be sent to women's prisons? And it's a total mess. But going back to the energy, electricity and stuff, you know, we are a small party, but we have to have ideas about big things as well. So our ideas on our website, our policies, we're a nationalist party. We've got quite a few nationalist policies, and one of them is to nationalise water, nationalise energy, nationalise the rail system. These are businesses that are too big to have a fair competition. to bring the price down for the public.
It's not just. Sorry to jump in, Pat. It's not just that. It's like Thames Water. It's 80% Chinese owned.
Yeah.
So when the shareholders get their dividends every year, 80% of those dividends, so-called profits, are going out the country to Chinese shareholders. That's just one example. One example how money's being sucked out of this country.
Yeah.
Because we were kowtowed into thinking that nationalistic ideas are bad. They're not.
There's only one thing that can defeat. There's only one thing that can defeat globalism, and that is nationalism. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of left-leaning people realizing that now. When I go on my door knocking adventures, I come across a lot of left-leaning people, and they agree with all of our policies. And I know they're lefties, and you know all these global things, IMF, WEF, WHO. These are globalists. This globalist tyranny. That's what it is, and the only way to defeat it is a nationalistic stance as a country, and we need all the countries to do that to break it, so to speak. So let me bring John back in. John, we're nearly finished. John, you still there?
Yeah, I am. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Don't forget, everyone, please, there's a PayPal link there. Give us a super chat or anything. Any money we raise off YouTube goes into the party bank account, but you've got to watch it. Please go on my videos, watch some of my videos, share them, get people to subscribe to me. I've been doing well since Christmas. I've been doing very well, but it'll support our party if you watch my videos and share stuff and that. We do have other channels. Pat's very big on X. Pat is very big on X, and we're actually streaming to Pat's channel on X right now. It's just I've not had control of my computer and I can't do any sharing. But thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, you know, like if I were Prime Minister, I would really be on the lines of like Thames Water. We sold it. We bailed them out 2 or 3 times to the tune of like hundreds of millions, if not billions. And they don't invest in the infrastructure. There's something like 186 million litres of water just going into the ground, fresh, drinkable water, just going right into the ground across the UK. I did streams on this and put the links up to the evidence and all that, what you need to see. I would be tempted to just take it back and not give them anything, not pay them any money, tell them, but we can blame the government, but it's the regulators and other side things and law and stuff like that that need to be applied properly so these companies do honour the agreements. And when we sold it off, we should have made sure that they signed a piece of paper saying they would put X amount back into the stuff and they redo the infrastructure and work on it, but they haven't. And the rest of the world is absolutely taking the piss out of British money and sucking it away. Just let me give you a fact. I've got a friend called Andrew Patrick, and his claim to fame was he was a whistleblower and Britain's #1 bounty hunter, world bounty hunter. And what he whistleblew on was an American company ripping off British tax money to the tune of billions. And, you know, we need to sort it out. These Amazons and all that, they need to pay the first share. It's a very left-leaning kind of thing, but, like, we are a different party. We're not far-right or anything. We're just regular people. And like Pat says, a lot of left-leaning people like our policies, and they like me, and they always have done for a good few years because I talk like them and we do the things like them, like Pat said about nationalising. And so it's a big part of everything, you know, and we need to sort it out, and, you know, we need to come together to get this control back. Our rail infrastructure is like 3rd class in Europe. I'm sorry to say. I've been to a lot of European countries, and even the worst ones, their rail's better than ours. You know, you just couldn't make it up. But we do need to sort things out. We're not saying we can sort them, but we are a remedy to the situation. We're remedy as we get people voting. We can get local and working class issues brought up forefront, UK citizens first and stuff like that. And that's what we want. You know, we're not tight people. We've got, you know, our military, even though you have a military don't just do military things. Our military is the best in the world for a lot of different things that don't involve war, rescue and stuff like that, all these kind of things and stuff. So we should be, you know, using it for that and not for war. You know what I mean? So there you go. Thank you very much, everyone. It's just past 9 o'clock. Next week, we will go more depth into Christianity. It's just that Paul wasn't on, and really, we've got to have Paul on when we talk about Christianity. I'll leave it to you two.
Well, looks like I'm on my own. John, Pat's gone, I think. So we've come to the end of the hour. Thank you, everybody who's been on and listened. Remember, take a look at our website. Donate if you can. If you can't afford to, don't worry. But if you've got some good ideas, come and join us. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. Good night. I'll see you Friday for Unapologetic, and I'm streaming on Saturday, 12 till 2. God bless you all. See you next week.